All right, so we're going to pick up where we left off. We're right here at absolute value. Let me check my focus here a little bit. All right, so we have absolute value. So remember, the key on absolute value is to make sure that the absolute value is isolated all by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and color both of these. Okay, so notice here on 23, the absolute value is by itself. Over here on number 24, it is not. So we have to get rid of this divide by -2. So the opposite of divide by -2 is multiply by -2. And this is going to cancel. Remember, we don't ever distribute into an absolute value sign. Those absolute value lines are bars, like brick walls. We can't do anything to those numbers in there until we drop them off, right? And the way we drop them off is that we will split this into two equations. Okay, so we're going to take the positive one first, so -7 minus 9x. All the stuff in there stays the same, equals +2. Our other option would be for -7 minus 9x to equal the -2. And we solve both of these. So if we're going to get our x by itself, we got to get rid of the -7 first. So the opposite of -7 is +7. So I'll leave -9x equals 9. Divide by what's in front of x, which is the -9. -9 divided by -9 is -1. So this is a possible answer. And then we go over to the other side and we do the same thing. So same steps, +7. This time -2 plus 7 makes 5. And then we're going to divide that by -9 and we get -5/9. Okay. So I'm going to look back at my answers. I do not need to check my answer because there is no variable outside of the absolute value bars, so both of these are going to be solutions. Okay, if you want to double check them because you're like, I'm not quite sure I did it right, you can go ahead and plug it in. They should both work. Okay, all right, over here on the other side, we already divided, or we got rid of the divide by -2, so we're going to leave the bars there, leave the absolute value because I haven't split my equation yet. And I got to multiply these together. -15 times -2 makes +30. Excuse me. Remember, if this was a negative right here, if the absolute value is all by itself and we have a negative over there, that's going to be no solution. So this one's okay because we have a +30. So we're going to go ahead and split this into our two equations. All of the stuff inside, 5n minus 10, will equal the +30, or 5n minus 10 equals -30. Okay, so again, all of that stuff stays in there while we split it out. All right, so to solve for n, we're going to +10 to both sides. I'm going to go ahead and put +10 over here and do both of those at the same time. So that makes 5n equals 40. And over here, we'll have 5n equals -20. And then divide by 5. So 40 divided by 5 is 8. -20 divided by 5 is -4. Do I have a variable outside of my original absolute value bar? Nope. So both of these are going to be okay answers. Okay. All right, number 25. Let's see. Here's our absolute value stuff. All right, so people see this 2 minus 10 and they want to combine that together to make -8. Okay, but if this was 2 take away 10x equals whatever, you wouldn't add those together. You would subtract 2 from both sides. So we're going to do the same thing here. We subtract 2 because this is our number that's being added to everything. So take away the 2, and that's going to leave us with -10 k plus 1 equals -80. Now we can divide by the 10 because right in between here is a multiplication sign. So the opposite of multiply is divide. K plus 1 still inside the bars. -80 divided by -10 is 8. Now the absolute value is all by itself. It equals a positive number, which is good, so we can split this into our two equations. K plus 1 equals positive 8. K plus 1 equals negative 8. Take away 1 from both sides. 8 take away 1 is 7. Negative 8 take away 1 is negative 9. Take away 1, take away 1. Okay. Again, I don't have any variables outside of this, so I don't have to check for extra answers. But on number 26, I do see that there is a variable outside here, so I have to make sure that I check my answers to see if they both work. Okay. All right, but the absolute value is by itself. The equal sign's right here, so there's no other stuff sitting around that absolute value. So we can go ahead and split this into our two equations. Okay, so the first one will be just the stuff that's inside there, 2m plus 7 equals all of this stuff, just like it shows up. That's the first one. For the second equation, we take the same stuff inside the absolute value, but we're going to change both of these signs. So a 6m becomes negative 6m, and a positive 13 becomes minus 13. Okay, so change both signs. All right, so now we're going to solve. I'm going to bring the 6m over to the front, so we're going to take away 6 from 2, and that makes negative 4. At the same time, I'm going to move that 7 back to the other side, so the opposite of plus 7 is take away 7, and that makes 13 take away 7 is 6. And then we're going to divide by negative 4. 6 divided by negative 4 makes negative 3 over 2. I'm going to go ahead and put a box around it because it's a potential answer. I still do have to check it. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and get my other answer first. So back here, I'm going to get the m's together. This time I'm not moving a positive 6m, I'm moving a negative 6m. So opposite of negative 6 is plus. So those will go away. 2 plus 6 makes 8. And then move the 7 over. Sorry, I should have moved those at the same time. Somebody distracted me at the door. 8m equals, what's that, negative 20? So negative 20 divided by 8 is negative 5 over 2. Possible answer. Okay, so now we're going to check this. So when I check my answer, we're going to take the original problem, and wherever there's a variable, I'm just going to put a parenthesis. So 2 times whatever m was, parenthesis there, plus 7, absolute value, 6, parenthesis, plus 13. Okay, so inside those parentheses, I'm going to put my first answer choice. So we're going to type it so it looks just like that. So remember, absolute value is here beside the 9. Way over here at the end. Absolute value, 2 parentheses, we're putting in a negative 3 over 2, plus 7, equals, over here, equals 6 parentheses, put the negative 3 over 2 again, plus 13. True. So this answer works. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to change it to negative 5 over 2. So you can retype it, or you can just arrow up here and hit enter. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the negative 3 to a negative 5. And everything else stays the same. That is false. So then we cross out that answer because that's no bueno. Okay. All right, so the last bit is our inequalities. All right, so all the same rules apply. The only difference is if you multiply or divide by a negative, you got to flip the inequality from greater than to less than, or side to side. Okay. All right. So on number 27, we're going to distribute, get rid of these parentheses. So there's a negative 8. So negative 8 times 3x is negative 24x. Negative 8 times 9 is negative 72. Leave the 33x. Leave the greater than negative 9. We didn't multiply both sides by negative 8. We just distributed it negative 8. That's fine. Okay. Combine some like terms over here. I have two x values. They are right beside each other. So I'm just going to combine them together. 33 take away 24. 33 take away 24 makes 9x. Leave the minus 72. Now move the 72 over, plus 72. Not multiplying or dividing by a negative, so we just leave it. Negative 9 plus 72 is 63. And our last step is divide that by 9. We're not dividing by a negative, so again, we just leave it. X is greater than 7. Okay, this is our answer in our inequality. When we go to draw our picture, we're going to put an open circle at 7 because there's no equals under that. This is greater, x is greater, so we want to go to the right. Okay, open, greater. Okay, so as the numbers get greater than 7, they're heading towards positive infinity. So when we write this in interval notation, we're going to go from 7 to positive infinity, and then parenthesis on the infinity because we don't know that exact term. And the 7 was open, which means we're going to get as close as we can to 7 without actually being equal to it. Okay. All right, 28, same thing. We got some distributive property over there on the right. So let's take care of this negative. So we're going to multiply a negative 1 times both of these. So negative 1 times positive 7, negative 1 times negative 4k. Negative times negative makes positive. So 2 terms over here on the left, that's good. 3 terms on the right. So we're going to combine these two that are just numbers. 23 take away 7. 23 take away 7 makes 16. Everything else. Okay. When I have an inequality, I always want to bring the variable up to the front. So I'm going to get rid of this plus 4k at the back. We're going to subtract it up to the front. And at the same time, I'm going to move the 11 to the back. So plus 11 to get it away from the front and move it to the back. So that's going to give us negative 8 take away 4 makes negative 12. I didn't multiply or divide. All we did was add and subtract. And then 16 plus 11 makes 27. And now we're going to divide by the number in front of k, which is a negative. When we divide by a negative, we flip the inequality sign. So instead of being greater or equal, we switch it to lesser equal. And then 27 divided by negative 12 is negative 9 over 4, which is fine. 4 goes into 9 2 times, so this is negative 2 and a little bit. So negative 2 and a little bit, I'm going to put a closed circle somewhere in between that. And my values are getting smaller, so we want to go towards negative infinity. So my interval notation is negative infinity is our smallest value. Our highest value is that negative 9 over 4. Can it equal the negative 9 over 4? Yes, because it has the equal underneath it, and it's a closed circle. So parenthesis around the infinity, bracket around the other end. All right, so same thing on 27. So I'm going to distribute this 11. 11 times 5 is 55. 11 times 4 is negative 44. Bring down the negative 7. You leave the sign. distribute over here. 6 times 8 is 48u, and 8 times 7 is 56. Okay, 2 terms on the right, 3 terms on the left. Of these 3, I see 2 that have u values, so we're going to combine them together. Don't plus 7u to both of these. We're just going to do whatever it says. It says 55u take away 7. 55 take away 7 is 48. Bring down the minus 44. Leave all this other stuff. Okay. We're going to bring the u to the front. Take away 48. Take away 48. Hey, those are the same thing, so I'm not going to worry about the numbers. Negative 44 greater or equal to negative 56. Is that true? Negative 44 is bigger or equal to negative 56. That is true, because the bigger your negative number, the smaller it is in value. So this one's closer to 0. Like, I'd rather owe somebody $44 than owe somebody $56, right? So this is true, which means that this entire number line is an answer. This is called all real numbers. And the whole number line from negative infinity to positive infinity. Forever. All right, number 30, fractions. Y'all hate fractions, I know. My calculator does not hate fractions. So negative 5 over 3 times 9 over 10. That's negative 3 over 2. There's an x on that. And then negative 5 over 3 times 15. Negative 25. Leave the less than 7. What number's here in front of this big old parenthesis? That is a negative 1. So we're going to multiply that by both of these. So we'll have a negative 8 and a positive 9 over 2x. Just change the signs there. Okay. Let's see. I see 3 terms back here at the back. So this one has an x, these don't, so I'm just going to combine these together. 7 take away 8. Negative 1. Leave everything else. All right, now we're going to move our x's. X to the front, so the opposite of plus 9 halves x is minus 9 halves x. That'll make that go away. And at the same time, we're going to move this 25 to the back. So the opposite of minus 25 is plus 25. So that will give us negative 3 over 2 minus 9 over 2. That makes negative 6x. And negative 1 plus 25 makes 24. Okay, all I did is adding and subtracting, so I don't change the sign yet. I'm going to change the sign on this step because I'm going to divide by negative 6. Be-doo, be-doo, be-doo. Minion sound. X greater negative 4. So open circle at negative 4. We want our numbers to be bigger, so we're heading towards the right, towards positive infinity. So our interval will be from negative 4 all the way up to forever infinity with parentheses on both ends. All right, compound inequalities. So we either have the word or, we have the word and, sometimes they're connected. Okay, so on this one, my variable is right here in the middle, so I need to get all of that middle stuff to just say b all by itself. So the first thing that we need to get rid of is the minus 8. So we're going to plus 8 over here on the right and way over here on the left. So it'll make it go away. Negative 18 plus 8 is negative 10. 2b, negative 8 plus 8 is 0. B is almost by itself. We got to get rid of the 2, so we're going to divide all the way through by a positive 2, so don't switch the sign. Negative 5 is less or equal to b, which is less than 0. So this is our answer. So we're going to have a circle at -5. It's going to be filled in because of that little equal sign on the bottom. We're going to have a circle at 0. It's going to be open because there's no equal down there. And then we want all the stuff in the middle. So our interval notation is just those two ends. I don't have infinity or anything this time. And then a bracket for the closed circle and a parenthesis for the other one. Okay. All right, if you have the word or, you're just going to do two separate problems. Like we're going to solve this one. So to get m by itself, we're going to take away 5. 11 take away 5 is 6. So m is greater than 6. So that's one answer. Or we have an answer over here. So 8 take away 10m. So we got to get rid of the plus 8. So we're going to subtract 8. And I'll give us negative 10m is greater or equal to 33 take away 8 is 25. And then we divide by what's in front of the m, which is a negative 10. Be-doo, be-doo, be-doo. 25 divided by negative 10 is negative 5 over 2. M, so we're going to switch the sign to less or equal negative 5 over 2. So we're going to have an open circle at 6. We want our numbers to get bigger than 6. So that's going to go this way towards positive infinity. And then negative 5 divided by 2 is negative 2.5. So we have a closed circle there. And we want to get smaller. So this one's heading towards negative infinity. Negative infinity all the way up to negative 5 over 2. Closed circle, so it has a bracket. The split is the or symbol, a U, and then we go from 6 to positive infinity forever, and that's an open circle, so that's a parenthesis. Okay. All right, I'm going to come back and do the last bit in a minute, okay? All right, love you, bye.